Hey everyone, this is a special episode of Find Your Film. It is spearheaded by co-host Bruce Purkey. He's been passionate about all these Oscar shorts, these Oscar-nominated shorts. He actually was the person on the ball who suggested that we cover it for one of our previous episodes. We reviewed these films that Bruce Purkey will be doing interviews for this episode. This episode is about an hour and a half, and there are three shorts that are covered. First one is Erick Oh, the director-writer from Opera, and that's an animation film that's Oscar nominated. The second one is Colette. It's nominated on the documentary section, short documentary section, and he interviews producer Alice Doyard and director-writer Anthony Giacchino. And last but not least is writer-director Tomer Shushan, and he helmed the live-action short, White Eye. That's actually, when it comes to think of it, it's maybe a top two, maybe my favorite one out of all of the Oscar-nominated shorts. The whole short is a oneer. Amazing, amazing. I love all those visual tricks. I'm a sucker for that. And by the way, Eric Holmes's and Bruce Purkey's favorite from the Shorts Festival, from the Oscar-nominated shorts, is the aforementioned Opera, which both of them call a masterpiece. You can get a bundle of all these shorts, these Oscar-nominated shorts, via ShortsTV. I recently read on the Facebook page of White Eye, and I'll provide a link for that it is also going to be coming out Tuesday on HBO Max. So a lot of these shorts are spread out. Some of them you can see on Netflix. Some of them are just available on YouTube. You can hunt them out, but if you want the whole kit and caboodle and watch everything, go to ShortsTV for that. Okay, so without further ado, here is Bruce Purkey doing a lot of work with these interviews. There's a lot of insight on each of these artists, and yeah, I loved each and every one of these interviews. As you know, Bruce Purkey is already a better interviewer than me. That is not a high bar to clear, by the way, folks. And anyways, if you have any thoughts, email us at info@findyourscene.com or just hit up Bruce Purkey over at our Cinematics Facebook group. Most importantly, watch these Oscar-nominated shorts. At least check out Opera, Colette, and White Eye. Each of them have merit in its own respective place. Colette for me was very poignant and moving and insightful. Opera was just a sublime experience. Opera is one of those movies you can watch over and over again and find nuance. I believe Bruce Purkey has seen it at least several times. And again, White Eye that's another movie another short that blew me away just because of the wonder, the storytelling, and all that stuff. Even though I say I'm a fan of visual language and tricks and all that stuff and acumen, there's a lot of story behind White Eye, which Bruce addresses with Tomer. Okay, guys, take care, and thanks so much for supporting us on Find Your Film. Tell us what you think. Tell us what are some of your favorite shorts as well. Would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Take care and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.
Hey everybody, this is kind of a special mini episode of Find Your Film. I do not have my Eric Holmes or Greg with me today, but they are probably very excited to talk with our gentleman guest here, which is Erick Oh, who is the director of the Oscar-nominated short Opera. Hello, Eric.
Hi, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. First of all, congratulations. It's awesome. You got nominated for an Oscar. Is this your first time getting nominated? I'll apologize for not having your whole resume in my brain. So you tell me, have you been nominated before?
No, as a director, first time. I was nominated as an animation director for The Dam Keeper in the year of 2015. But after that, as a director, as a filmmaker, it's my very first time.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That's amazing. A short little quick history. You went to Slam Dance Festival online, and I went there to watch Taipei Suicide Story. I don't know if you happen to catch that, which is it's in between short and long film. It's like 45, 50 minutes long. And I came to the program so late that I only had a few hours left in the festival. And I saw your short there, and I watched it, and I loved it. And I felt really upset because there was no time to recommend it to all of my friends to watch. So I was very happy to see that the program is up. And for everyone out there, right now in virtual cinemas, you can rent the programs for animated, for documentary, and for short, and for live action shorts, or you can rent the whole package. And I would just say right out front, yours was definitely my favorite of the animated shorts, and it's actually my favorite of the whole program. So I'll just let that out right now.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So I guess to start, we should give people a basic short description, which is almost impossible to do, of your short, right? I'll give my best effort, and then I'll let you tell me how you would describe it to people. To me, so you basically have a cutaway of a pyramid-like structure. You start at the top, you work your way down. It's very intricate. There's a lot of interlocking and interweaving storylines and characters. And you basically, as you go down this pyramid, you're kind of seeing pretty much all the aspects of society, life, religion, race, war. I mean, you see a little bit of everything. And to me, what's so fascinating about it is it's almost like a Rorschach test or like a mirror. Like you have to pick your path almost as you go down, which I've seen it 3 times now. I'll probably see it many more because you have to see everything. How do you describe it to people kind of in a thumbnail pitch, if you want to get them to, it's only 8.5 minutes, right? So people should have the time for it.
It's 8.5 minutes, but at the same time, it may not have any on its running time, because you can watch this couple of times and you'll be able to create or find a new story every time you watch it. Yes. That's how it's designed. So basically, opera really showcases the reflection of human life, society, and history. And in my opinion, in the most raw and pure way, really didn't want to sugarcoat anything or fake anything, as real and raw as possible. So life is like a box of chocolate. You have beautiful things you want to celebrate, and then there are terrifying, horrible things in your life. And as you said, wanted to touch upon all those things. I didn't want to be afraid of not going to the places that we may feel, uncomfortable or disturbing, because again, we have to face it. Hopefully, then we can ask ourselves, are we actually stuck in this vicious cycle of history? Or can we actually make it better, make our life better? So that's what opera is.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that. And once again, talking about the cyclical nature of it, this really could be put on a loop. It would be really interesting if it was put on a loop, but it changed just slightly. It would really be interesting to find that. But I mean, that would put 10 million more work in your book there. I will just point out a couple of little things I saw, and this is only in 3 tries, and I'll let people discover the things. But little things like, I love how you kind of have divided it sort of into 2 sides. Mm-hmm. As you go down, you have a left side and a right side, although there isn't a real clear, like there isn't a good and evil or so I think that's really interesting. Kind of forces you to pick a side in quotes, but you really don't, because they all have different aspects of society. You see things about funerals, you see things about religion, you see things about creating icons or statues or gods. One of the things that really caught me the 3rd time, I hadn't caught it the first time or the 2nd time, I'd seen the guillotine you had, where there's the heads getting chopped off and the heads go down, and they either go one way and they go down to like a furnace, if I remember correctly, or they go another way and they become like these multicolored balloons. And I noticed that this time. But another thing I noticed this time is I hadn't noticed that up above you have, it's almost like the birth of characters or humans with multicolored heads, and then they're painted all the same color and then sent to school. And I thought that was pretty great little symbology there of just kind of how school, this is almost like the classic Pink Floyd, sent to school.
Yeah.
What were you, was there anything about the actual presentation format that you were inspired by, or like what kind of brought you to that? Was there some kind of art that you've seen that's done, brought you there?
It's tricky to handpick 1 or 2 artists that inspired me to actually make this. I mean, overall, I do think how I see opera is a contemporary version of mural paintings from Renaissance or fresco mural paintings, because when you look at them, usually, let's say Michelangelo, where we're talking about Bosch, and then you've got like angel and devil fighting, and then on the other here, people are celebrating and they're doing a festival, and there's some couple making love, and it's all at once in one singular huge gigantic wall. And then, as soon as I was studying those, I felt like, oh, maybe that could be it, because I'm here to talk about human society, which is everything's delicately connected and everything's happening all at once. It's not like linear thing, but it's just together. And the history, it just cycles, right? So I felt like maybe that's it. Maybe that's the perfect form or a platform to tell the story of opera. So yeah, that's how I did it. Only the difference is I create the movement in passage of time. So it's almost like a moving image of the gigantic painting.
Like those giant murals that you'd have on like the ceiling of a cathedral.
Exactly.
Thing. I written down some notes beforehand just to see. I guess I would think for you, it might be useful sometimes to have somebody watch this and say right afterwards, what did you see? Like,
right.
What did you find? I think that would be fun for me as an artist. So I would just say, I had written this down before I asked you that question because I wanted to tell you what got to my brain. I thought of Bruegel's Triumph of Death. If you know that giant picture, even though this isn't all death, but just that I obviously caught the little bit of that. I also thought of Baraka. Have you ever seen the film Baraka?
I know. Yes. Yeah.
Because it has that kind of universal, you're just seeing every aspect of life, but it's all put together in this kind of interconnecting mosaic but here's like a clockwork mosaic too, which is really interesting too. Mm-hmm. Like it gets rewound and started again like a music box or something.
I mean, it's really inspired by all those things. I mean, everything you listed, I may be consciously or unconsciously, it just became part of the project. And I think the reason why I was able to do that was because wanting to create something that's very transcendent and universal, like that can be applied to any culture, like mixing up all this Oriental or Western, Eastern, like or old, like mid-centuries or modern times, everything's kind of mixed up. So as a whole, you see something that's very human. It's not just talking about particular civilization, for example. Right. Yeah.
Really archetypal, but also it feels like some of the things you historically see. It has a feel of that. Mm-hmm. I love that. So a couple questions, and feel free to throw in whatever you want. A couple questions that my partner had thrown in, because I said, hey, if you have anything to ask him, what would you like to know? Erick, without a K, he asked if you actually, and I guess my answer would be, I think there's a lot of them in here, but is there any specific Easter eggs, anything you specifically hid in there for like a friend or someone to know that was in there?
Yes. I mean, I'm hesitant to actually spit that out now, or because that's a bit of a reward for people who watch it maybe 1,000 times,
Yes, I understand.
But I can say something because it does also carry some meaning behind it. So again, Bruce, not sure if you caught him or not, but so basically the character design, it's black and white. Like there are white heads and black body, or black heads and white body. So it's that's how they are designed. But then there is one singular character who don't belong any of the sides. So he's gray. His face is gray, body's gray. So he doesn't, belong to any of black and or white. So what he does is for the entire 9 minutes, he travels by himself. So he's just one singular character who's actually visiting this corner, sit next to someone doing stuff, and then go to the next room. So there's one observant, So that stands for something, right? I mean, I felt like maybe he could be an artist because who's not, or someone else who's outside the system, or he could be the ghost. I don't know. You define. And then, but at the end of the day, I felt like that actually questions you though. Like, so basically, is it really the whole world is black and white? Is it really everything you see is what it is, And then there could be something that's what we call as a gray area, and then something that really something somewhere in the blurry boundaries, right? So there's one character. It's super, super tiny Easter egg for awesome. People who may watch.
Well, I hope we didn't spoil something. I don't think this is spoilable, honestly. But
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, this is not type of movie that has a twisted ending or anything like that. Anything you see is, it's there. It's right there. So it's all you need to do is just watch, look closely and carefully.
And every time I watch it, I try to catch certain things. Like I'll see there's a point where, and I'm not going to say exactly where it happens, but there's a giant fish / whale, and I'll notice it in certain parts. Like, wait, is it there? Is it there when it starts over? Wait, it's a skeleton right now. Wait, what's happening? So I keep going back and watching things like that. And I think that's what's really fascinating about the kind of endlessness and detail that you put into this. How long did this take you?
About 4 years.
Yeah.
It was quite a long marathon. mainly because, not only because it was the big scale production, but also because this wasn't the main prior job for me. So I had other things going on, and this has been a long time, 4-year-long side project. That's why it took me that long.
That kind of led to a question I had, or actually Eric had, which was kind of what your plans for it. So this seems kind of like a passion project, but in your perfect world, I mean, how do you release this or distribute it? Do you get it attached to features, and on top of that, I guess 2 questions. What would be the perfect presentation mode for this if you could present it exactly how you want to present it?
You know, in the middle of production, I already know that I love to make this into 2 different versions. One for cinematic experience, something that you can watch in the theater, but a big theater. I'm talking about IMAX. So imagine you're watching this in the IMAX theaters, full 5-channel surround. It's going to give you a whole another level experience. So that's something, the scale of the scale. So that was one of the things I really, really wanted to protect. And at the same time, it'd be really cool if we could make this into installation. Like, for example, you walk in and you just put it on the gigantic wall, and you become the camera. Even maybe I don't have the camera moving in and out too. You just see the static, just triangular shape, and you're the one who gets closer by walking on your foot, or zoom out by walking further away. And you can even discuss with your friends while watching. You can just watch a couple of more times. So those 2 ways are probably the best way to actually enjoy this piece.
I absolutely agree. I think that would be amazing to have this be on a wall of a multi-story like museum, where somehow it could be projected or back projected, or maybe it could be a liquid, some kind of a screen.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So you literally couldn't see it all from one spot either. Like, you literally would go up different floors to see part of it. You have to go up and down to like keep watching it. I think that
it's like you are becoming almost the character of them, like, working, living in them. So that'd be really cool.
I think that would be amazing. But I did envision, like you said, all the way through this would just be on a giant wall or some kind of a surface, so you could just experience all in one sitting. And in fact, Eric, one of his comments when we talked about it was that redefined the oneer being our kind of term for a single take shot, which usually is in like an action movie, or you're flowing through hallways. But the idea is here, essentially, it also is a one shot where everything is there at once, basically. And then the motion is happening within that space. Kind of like Rear Window. If you ever see the beginning of Rear Window, where you're just watching all the apartments from the same vantage point, and you're seeing life. Questions. Let me make sure he had something else here he wanted me to ask you. Oh, music. So the music obviously here is really evocative. There's a little bit of a, almost could be religious, could be kind of eerie, kind of ethereal. He asked if you ever, when you were making it, did you ever sync it up or try syncing it up with any other known music? Like obviously the Wizard of Oz has, the Dark Side of the Moon or something. Have you ever thought of it in that way at all?
So you mean, can you rephrase your question a bit? So basically,
well, possibly, did you ever have, so maybe you didn't have the score when you were designing it, as you were designing it, to design to it. Did you have anything in mind specifically that helped you kind of give you a mood when you were doing
almost
it?
like a temp music, or creating the music video too. Actually, not yes and no. Basically, I've been always a huge fan of Scandinavian, like that type of like sound, like quality. But again, the idea of making something that's universal, like applied to the musical approach as well. So from the beginning, I think that we had couple of ideas, of course. I mean, first of all, thanks for asking this, because music is huge part of this piece. And then music is the one that's tying down everything together, because this is crazy thing. There's so many things going on, but there's music that really captures the mood and emotional arc, and really guide audience to what to feel, and lead the audience. That's what the music does, especially in this piece. And then we approached, again, the same way we did to the art side of it too. We studied, we referenced some of the Chinese traditional sound, and also we all the way flew to virtually flew to Europe to study some Scandinavian sound. But then some people like modern artists like Philip Glass or Steve Vai, like some minimalist musical elements. So we went through a lot of experiments on our own. And then this is where we landed. But what I asked the sound designer, composer Andrew Vernon, a champion, he's my pal for a long, long time. He worked on several of my movies like previously. He's the one who actually did the music and sound, everything you're hearing from the piece. This one thing, he's the guy. But I asked him for something that's kind of very challenging, very polar opposite. Hey, I want something that's very classic, that can leave timeless, but at the same time very modern. So something chic and classic and trendy, summer, like maybe can we catch both rabbits? And then something super minimalistic and clean and poetic, but at the same time, you should carry this crazy epic scale. So I was asking for something very polar opposite those things. But again, Andrew was able to take all the ideas and embrace everything and was able to come up with this amazing score. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it really adds to the mood and the tone of it. And I want to add onto it, the sound design also does, because the fact that you have, so this could have easily been silent for all the figures. It could have just been the music. But the fact is, as you're watching it, at least as I'm watching it, I'm noticing like, oh, when that thing falls, there's a sound for it. Or when the guillotine drops, there's a sound for it. So, and the strange thing is, once again, it has that strange effect because you're watching all the things at once, but not able to see everything at once. You're hearing all the things at once, but you don't necessarily understand what you're hearing until you're focusing on the thing that's making that sound. So what was your intention? What was your intention there? How did you think about that?
What you said was exactly our intention. So if you just like the visual, if you don't make your mind to look at any particular thing, you will see something crazy. Okay, is a whole wow. Like I don't know where to even start. Sound too, like you don't hear anything but just walla 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 walla. But if you decide to look at something, some accidental incidents, then that's when you start hearing, oh, this one of the singular elements was actually coming from there. And then if you decide to look at over here, so we did our best not to miss any actually sound, especially some prominent big movement like guillotine, like head chopping off or stuff like that. That's a big, it does actually sometimes grab your attention. So those things were our 10 poles for sure. But what we tried to do was, again, really did our best to create everything kind of like for every movement you see there. And then it's really audience's role to decide which one to actually listen to or look at.
But that also works really thematically really well, I think, too, because then you have something, for example, like you can follow one little figure as it falls, as he falls or she falls, you don't really have a gender, falls to their death into a pool of water. And you look at them and you hear that happening. Just in like life, if you look, you can see and hear what's happening. But a lot of times we don't look.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
Absolutely.
And we're able to just kind of move on by with our everyday, blinders on, I guess you'd say. So I think it works thematically too, because when you look at it, it's there for you to see and to hear. So I think that is really, it's really cool. I like it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Not too much else for you. I'm not going to take too much more of your time. A couple of things that might be, one last real question, and then a couple little things just to put you on the spot on your film love, just to see what you like. But before that, what's up for you? Future projects, big, small, directing?
Yeah, currently 2 new projects are on its way. One is actually just finished, which is titled Namu. It's a VR project. I was able to work with Baobab Studios. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They are one of the best VR studios, and now they are moving on to create more of animated contents. But actually, so I myself and Baobab, collaborated to create this new personal story of mine, which was inspired by my loss of my grandfather. And then it's very personal story. Let's say opera is my, outlook on life. Overall, I'm really studying what's going on. But then Namu is much more personal story. I'm going into myself now. So very spiritual journey. It really follows one main character's life from his birth to death. So it's going to really give you some emotional, gut-punching, hopefully, message and something that you can resonate with. So that's Namu. And then actually recently, VR version first premiered in Sundance early this year. So after hopefully, it's out there. So after opera, hopefully Academy ceremony is done, I'm ready to start promoting that film like right after.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So you said it's VR though. Are they going to be released in different? I assume you release it in different versions.
We are
VR,
yes.
and is it feature length or is it short?
It's a short length. It's a short film. It's another short length, and then we are in the middle of actually in the conversation of how to actually release this. We are also thinking about retranslating this to short film too. So I think soon I'll be able to share something through my own personal social network or media or a Baobab, or you'll get to. I'll let you know, Bruce. Basically.
So you're gonna make me cry. Is what you're gonna do with me? Is that what you're gonna do? Is that what you're telling me?
And then one last thing. The other one is called another. I'm back at Tonko House. At this current moment. So I'm with Dai Sasumi, the founder of Tonko House. We are working on a new Netflix show, original show named Oni. It's called ONI, Oni. That's the name of it. It is a story, a father and daughter story inspired by Japanese folktale. So that's what's going on also. So I'm working really hard, working on a variety of stuff, but yeah, keep moving forward.
Very cool.
Things. Yeah.
Okay, so my last things.
Yeah.
We always like to ask everybody, because it's really fun. We love discovering what people love and finding things that we never discovered before as far as films go. It doesn't have to be animation, doesn't have to be short. Is there a movie for you that's always been, I mean, no matter when you return to it so far in your life, it's special to you? I know it's a lot to throw at you.
Yeah, I know. I
told you I was going to push you a little bit on this.
You know, it's so odd that, I have to, because I often get this question, but every time I get to think, because every time I feel like I just think of
every day it changes, right? It changes every day.
It does change.
That's fine.
But so what I do is I just spit out whatever that comes into my mind immediately at this moment, At this moment, somehow, Michel Gondry, Eternal Spotless,
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
That just came into my mind. I mean, I love that because it just blurs everything, like the reality, what's happening in consciousness, and it's so well done. And some of the films like that, we can actually even list films that's very similar to that type of category, but I am drawn to those type of things, poetic, surreal, but at the same time, very human, raw story, and that type of, no matter you're watching animation or play or live action, I do think I tend to lean towards that type of filmmaking. So yeah, for now, with Michel Gondry's film is
an element of surrealistic imagination there, something like that.
Yes. On top of reality, the real story, yeah.
We just talked about in ours recently, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but we just talked about Holy Motors. Have you ever seen Holy Motors?
Oh, yes.
By Leos Carax. And if you've never seen it, there's a 3-part movie called Tokyo.
I know what it is. Yeah.
It has Michel Gondry. It has Leo Carax, and
one Korean director was part of it too, I guess.
Jang Boon-ho, I think.
Maybe I'm a little confused, but I know what it is actually. Yeah.
Okay. Last.
Cool. Yes.
We every week do a thing called What's in the Box. It's full of little pieces of paper. And every week, I personally draw one of those out, and that's one of the movies I will watch that week. There's probably 50 in there. But if you have a movie that you think is underseen, people don't see it enough or talk about it enough, it could be anything from a short to whatever. Well, what would be that movie you always want to tell me, like, I wish I could talk to somebody about this. They never watch it. What would that movie be? And I'll put it in the box.
You have some. I should have thought about it.
I'm not going to make it easy on you.
I know. Oh man. I mean, everything that's coming into my mind. That's actually super popular. That's pretty well known.
Yeah, but maybe I might not have seen it. You never know. I'm old, but I've missed a lot of things.
Give me like couple of seconds. Let me just use my okay. There gotta be some really good ones. So it doesn't have to be anything. It can be anything, you think?
Anything.
Okay.
Anything. And I will try my best to find it and watch it. If I have to pick it out of the box first, so every week. I have some in there from other people I've interviewed from like 4 months ago. It hasn't come out yet, so I'm just waiting for it to come out.
Sure. Okay. I mean, again, this has been super popular back then, but it's been a couple of decades. So maybe some young generations or someone who are getting into animation may not have seen it. So I'll just share it. There's a omnibus story consists of almost like Love, Death and Robots, like from Netflix series, very
Right.
similar to that. But there's a thing called Genius Party by Studio 4 Degrees.
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, there you go. So I think it just came out early 20,000 or maybe before that. So it is Japanese animation. It's a series consists of 4 or 5 different shorts, only different directors, all Japanese, amazing Japanese legendary directors, and also but all done by Studio 4 Degrees in Japanese. So highly recommend it
Studio
if
4
you haven't
Genius
watched
Party.
it. Yeah, Genius Party. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a pretty good hole in my experience. Anime, Japanese animation. I have a little bit. Satoshi Kon back there. I've done some Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
But I can learn a lot more. And I mean, I've seen the giant ones, but I really want to see more. So Genius Party, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
You love it. You'll love it.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Cool.
Anything else that you want people to know before we let you go?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I can share my personal thoughts about how I am seeing this sort of situation of how much opera is getting loved and getting recognized,
Yeah.
especially by Academy. I think it means a lot because it is so different, I once had a bit of a stereotypical lens towards Academy too, because when I was seeing opera as being considered, I felt like, it's not Academy material. It's so different. They really care about nice story arc and nice characters. And, there are certain rules they must have been following, but, it just became nominated and it just, and then I think that says a lot, actually. I think that's going to hopefully already making a big positive impact on the creators, because now we are being encouraged and inspired to do more things because, animation can be so much more. It's not meant to be executed in just one singular way. It can be this. We are encouraged to push the bar and try new things, sharing more things about this beautiful medium of animation. At the same time, the audience too. Audience will be inspired that, oh wow, only Disney Pixar animations were the only animations. Something like this could be an animation too. So as a whole, at the end, I think having this much of recognition and love, hopefully will make some positive change and inspiration to the entire community and industry. That's my hope. So yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah,
absolutely. I am 100,000% behind that. I love seeing animation stretched to every corner, from serious to fun to emotional to whatever. Animation is so creative. The sky's the limit. Why would you not go those other places? So thank you so much, Eric. I hope you win. Thank you for giving us this time, and I will let you know when we post it up. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bruce. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. We are here with a mini podcast with only 1/3 of Find Your Film. We are very happy to be here with the director of the Oscar-nominated short documentary feature, Colette, Anthony Giacchino,
you got it.
Okay. And producer Alice Doyard.
Yes.
Very good. Thanks for coming here. And first of all, right out of the gate, congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent work. So what I did is I reached out. I watched all of the shorts. So we got the program that had all the shorts from all the categories, and I reached out to my favorite from each category. So I don't know what that means for your success, but it was the favorite of mine for that category. I loved it quite a bit.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, out of the gate, I don't know your full resumes. Have either of you been nominated before?
No, this is the first time for both of us. And it's funny because I'm looking forward to seeing Elise in Los Angeles next week. I'm in Brooklyn. Elise is in London. And for the last year and now like 2 or 3 months, this is I know that room that Elise is in. She's seen this room before, but like the last time we saw each other was in Missoula, Montana in February of 2020 when we were at Big Sky Documentary Film Festival. And the film won Best Documentary Short there and was Oscar qualified. So that was sort of the first step for us, but it's the first time and it's very exciting.
Very good. Well, congratulations on that. And that's interesting because in a movie that has a lot to do with connection, connecting, to be disconnected for so long, at least physically, not being able to be in the same area, is interesting. So every movie you have to kind of approach a different way. With fictional movies, obviously, it's talk about the creative process, coming up with the ideas and all that sort of thing. I am always fascinated when you're doing something that's a documentary, a feature, or a short, whatever it might be. When does that germ of, hey, this is going to be something that we attack? How do you approach it in the beginning? Like, how do you find Colette, or how do you find Lucy, and think about, oh, this is something that could be more?
Elise. Go.
Yes, this is over both of you. I'll try to be a little more directed to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take this question. If I can say, Anthony is passionate about documenting history. And I am personally passionate about people who can tell important stories, and the stories of the resistance in France is particularly close to my heart, because my family was part of them. And when we were in Normandy, Anthony and I, with our camera woman Rose Bush, we heard, we were looking for different stories, and we heard that a woman was a former resistant and was a friend of a guide who we liked. And we thought, okay, let's go and meet Colette. And we discovered, that was our first encounter with a woman who not only had very vivid memory of the war, so that was, we were diving into her life while the France was occupied, but also she had a tone like we had never heard before. She was very strong, she was very truthful, she was frank, but also very tender. And with us, she really wanted to transmit her what was her life, a life of a fighter.
Yeah.
During the war and after the war.
You know,
So,
Elise, I I'm kind of laughing when you're saying this, or smiling, because as you're saying that, I'm remembering that first time, like it was like a combative interview when we sat down with her that first time. It was really like interesting, combative in the sense that, you know, when you come into someone's place and you have like 12 people and you tear apart their apartment, but you know, just so you can kind of get an interesting shot, which, by the way, never ends up in the film. Anyway, you know, you kind of are used to people sort of like, okay, yeah, you know, you can interview whatever. But she was like, really, she had like even just points of view about, well, where am I looking, and who should I be speaking to, and you know, and she didn't like the way we were doing it, and she let us know that she didn't like how we set this up and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to kick us out of the apartment. And yet when that first interview was over, she said, look, if you're ever back in Normandy, you're welcome to stay at my apartment. Don't expect me to play tour guide, but you can at least stay here. But that's what she was like. She was like in person, like you see in camera.
That's really great. So
yeah,
that, and I'm going to do my best to not spoil certain things, because I feel like the experience of experiencing this movie, come on guys, you can go out there, you can get the whole package, you can get one of the categories, just do it. So you can experience it first. But I think this is a quote from Greg, but we all agreed that one of the things about her was that she suffered no fools. She was very direct and very honest, and she is obviously what this movie's about, but it's the surprises that she brings. And I'm guessing that you also found things surprising, and I'm going to do this in a way that's not spoiling. Mm-hmm. There's a moment where you ask her something about how close she was with her brother and how much, and her response is surprising. There's a moment where she talks about something her mother told her that, wow, that I'm guessing that when that happened, you guys were taken aback.
Do you, listen, we will respect the rules you lay down on your own show, but we're okay to talk about that moment.
Okay.
If you,
so we'll put a line in the sand right here. Put a line in the sand right here. Everybody pause. If you're listening to this or watching this, go watch it. come back. Okay, let's go. Free for all.
Okay.
So let's talk about it. So when she mentions that her mother told her that she wished she would have gone instead of Jean-Pierre, I mean, what did you think?
Well, I mean, what's interesting about that is that, we were blown away by it. When I first heard it, I think I had the same reaction as you did, but we didn't know that until after we were done filming with her at the concentration camp.
Yeah.
And Elise was, well, at least maybe you should tell the story since you sort of discovered that afterwards.
Yes, thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, because the whole process of the film was to indeed accompany Colette, who we were protected as our main protagonist. Like we did protect Lucy as well, and maybe we'll talk about Lucy later on. But
Yes.
Colette, she was 90, and she was really leading the show. And we wanted to provide her with a secure environment. This is what we did before filming. This is what we did during the filming, and this is what we did after the filming. We took her back home after the camp, and of course, it was important to debrief, if I may say, about what the experience we had gone through. And I went back to Caen in France together with another member of the team, and we took her back to the restaurant where she is at the beginning, and she's dancing at the beginning. And in this restaurant, she told us that the experience of filming this tribute to her brother was extremely important because this was what happened to her, and she had never forgotten.
Oh yeah, how would you forget that?
And so then we were given this piece of information, which was striking, that would explain a lot of her amazing personality and the burden that she carried and the wound that she was dealing with for so many years. And so when I heard this, I called Anthony, and Anthony said, "Wow, we need this in the film. So find a way." And actually, this is the magic of filmmaking. We used a mic to record another interview, a post-interview of a whole experience, and many nice things also happen in this when you take the time to accompany the people you are telling the story.
Yeah. And what was interesting, about that was when we received, because by this time we were back in New York, and we received the audio from that, was listening to Colette, like everything, all the raw material, right, around that, where she's sort of back and forth about, she wants to be careful because she doesn't want to sully the memory of her mother. And right. I thought that was really interesting. She was still trying to protect her, even though she admitted that her mom probably forgot it the second she said it, right? But that she never did. And of everything that was in the film, that was the thing that I was most worried about.
Right.
When she watched it.
I was worried about that. So obviously she saw it, she knows it's in there, and she's...
Oh yeah. Yeah. But that
seems...
was the thing that I was like, oh boy, I wonder what she's going to say about this.
I could see that, or the moment where she actually breaks down, being something that you might wonder if she wants to show too, because she seems like the type that she even talks about how, everybody goes and visits and the same sort of thing happens, and she doesn't want to have that be the experience people get from this. Or I kind of got that impression. So I feel like, I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. The fact that we see her being so direct, so flinty, so strong, really increases the impact of that moment when it finally hits her at the camp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
you don't expect it, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we did not expect this. We did not expect it.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
And I think that's kind of brings me to talking about Lucy a little bit, because I think that Lucy is also, it's those two together that creates a really interesting dynamic, because it's not just her alone with you guys, obviously, with the film crew and people recording her and all that, but it's somebody that she's connecting with, a younger generation, somebody who she obviously starts to build quite a connection with. How did Lucy become part of this feature? How did that happen?
Do you want me to? I can. Yeah, I can just quick. So when we were, so when we got Colette's story down for the first time, you know, oddly enough, I had actually been to that concentration camp memorial before knowing Colette. In fact, I had just been there days before I even heard of Colette and her name. So it was kind of striking to me that I was like, oh, that's weird. I was just there. That's where her brother died. So I had been, you know, I had gotten to know the people who ran the museum there. So I just said, Elise, maybe you just need to let's talk to them and see, before we ask Colette even consider, she would go back, like, what do they think about that? And it was so in that conversation, they said, oh, there's this project, there's a historian in France, he brings students back every year. You should probably get in touch with him. He might be someone that's interesting that you could talk to. And that's what, and that led Elise to Lucy, right?
Because when I called the museum in the north of France, that was in direct link with Dora. It's a peculiar museum that is settled in a cupola, a place, a launching base for the flying bombs that were built in Dora. So they are connecting because of their history. Mm-hmm. And when I called this museum, they told me, oh, our young people have gone already, but we have someone who could not join the trip to Dora and would be very interested in going to Dora for the first time and meet a former resistant, because this young person is among volunteers that are currently writing a book about the 9,000 French deportees to Dora. And she was the youngest, and she was 17, the age that Jean-Pierre, Colette's brother, was when he got arrested by the Gestapo. So suddenly we found someone who was an aspiring historian. She had all the reason to be there, but also that she was bringing something on the emotional level to the documentary.
Well, and then that gives Colette, it's just, even if subconsciously there's like this, it's just probably just a connection, just automatically. But also Lucy seems so open, and she seems like a gentle soul, I think, and it works really well with Colette, and I think the two of them, obviously, I don't know, that experience is just beautiful.
Can I just say something quickly?
Yes,
about
absolutely.
About that was like what I liked about Lucy was her, and I don't say this in a negative way, but she was I think a little naive going into like what the experience would be. That this would be, and she calls it an adventure, that this is going to be a big adventure, right? So she has that sort of young person's sort of mind, like, wow, this is great. It's going to be this great adventure. And I don't think she was ready for the emotion of it, what it would do to Colette, or, you know, even to herself. So that's, I really liked this sort of how she grew in that, and within a very short amount of time, but she wasn't ready for it either.
Well, and by extension, that's what a really good documentary does, right? A really good documentary like yours, it takes somebody who says, oh, that's interesting, just your brain, I guess, interesting to know about, but not expecting the reality of it. And I think that's the thing that Colette does, right? She brings the reality of it. She brings a face to it, to her brother, a face to herself, and a face to people, older people, right? I'm older, not as old as Colette. But there's, it's just, there's an older person there, but there's a world, there's a story, there's a life, and knowledge. I mean, all those things that we traditionally used to think about. And she brings that to us and then to Lucy as well. It's really
I would say she also brings like the other thing that we discovered while we were, you know, on the trip, and then of course then afterwards in the edit was this this tension, right, between, like, there was a tension between Colette and Lucy, but not in this sense that Colette was attempting to just erase and forget the past so she could move on and survive, and Lucy is trying to remember and preserve the past so she can move on, and in fact even survive, because maybe this will help us you know, stop something like this from happening again if we understand it. So that thing about remembering to survive, forgetting to survive was, I think, really interesting. And we you know, and I was, so talk about sort of, you know, how somebody, you know, grows or changes, and then Colette sort of at the end realizing or at least coming around to Lucy's, I think, point of view about like that it's okay to remember this.
right. And of course,
Yes, with the ring.
Yes, the ring, and then letting herself, when she breaks down and not wanting to even be watched doing that and not to have that being experienced, but then that is part of the experience and having to see that. There was something that caught me too that I thought was really interesting, and I can't quote it, unfortunately. I'm sure you probably can. There's a moment where Colette says something like, well, when you experience a war.
Oh, yeah.
And that really struck me. And it's one of those things that just kind of goes by like a simple statement, right? But the fact that you say that to somebody, and think about that, like when you experience a war.
That's right. When it's your turn, she says.
It's an inevitability. Inevitability.
Anthony, huh?
Yeah, exactly. When it's your turn, then you'll see you have no time, you know, really for anything. Yeah.
That was pretty profound, I thought. And if you sit and think with that, how almost the point of the movie and the point of what Lucy's doing and all these things is that, wow, we shouldn't be able to say that statement, right? Mm-hmm. With certainty. We shouldn't be able to go, when you experience a war. Let's say maybe if you experience a war.
But
that's
why,
Colette, right?
Say,
yes.
If I may say, it's indeed why to me this film matters so much. It's because it talks about World War II and the resistance, but it talks also about the when you are in you have to be in a fighting mode because of a threat or and we are it talks about the solidarity between generations, between different nations, solidarity in general, to fight against evil, to fight to preserve our common good. And this is universal.
Yeah. Well, and we see it now, the creep of fascism.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over. That you can see this in even sort of attacking the problem of climate change. I mean, you can talk about it, the pandemic that we're in. I mean, it needs a united. All of it needs a united response, right? And it needs sort of this a bridge between generations. And you know, we think that, or we hope that people see that embodied in Colette and Lucy, and you know, their particular journey that they went through.
Is there anything I'm thinking about? Is there anything that you didn't or you captured and you wanted to show, or you ended up cutting it? Is there anything that didn't make it that you really wanted? I think about the scene with the German official, and she was not having it at all. And I feel like that probably went on longer, and I'm sure you decide what to cut.
Oh, no. When she said turn off the camera, that the camera was off.
Oh, okay. So it was done. It was done.
Like that's how we sort of went on with that shoot. It was clear. If she said, hey, I'm not doing this, then it was done. So
was there anything that just was the hardest thing to let out of?
Yes. In fact, let's talk just about that, the final shot in the film where they're standing in that white room.
With the portrait?
Yes.
Yeah, with the picture. So that space is that's the space that Jean-Pierre died in. So that was a couple of miles outside of the camp. It was a sub-camp of Mittelbau-Dora. And it was a location where if you were too sick or exhausted or just could not work anymore, they just warehoused prisoners in this building and left them to starve to death. No food, no drink. They were expected every morning to go do roll call outside and then just go back into the building and just die. That is where Jean-Pierre died. And we visited that spot. And we just couldn't make it work within the time we were trying to make this film in. But we got that last shot in there of the three of them, Jean-Pierre, Lucy, and Colette, standing there. And it's interesting because Colette, in essence, like directed that scene. She told Lucy where to stand. She wanted to sit there. The picture was going to be here, all that. But we see that as the sort of like the last word that Jean-Pierre was sort of, Colette said it when as we were setting up that shot, that, he's, we've brought him back, that he may have died here, but now here we are, sort of with the last word. So that was good. We got it in, but it takes like explaining it to anybody to know really where that is. And then Elise, tell them why it's also special.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's special because indeed this is where they have, the three of them maybe have the last words, and they are standing there at a place of death. They bring back maybe some hope, and what you can hear is the song of Le Chant des Partisans, which is a very special song of the Resistance, sung by Anna Marley in 1943, so on the BBC, at the exact time when Jean-Pierre was captured by the Gestapo. And the song is sung by my three daughters.
Oh, beautiful.
22, 20, and 16. And they are musicians, and they sing this resistance song. So for us, it's about transmission. It's about not only these three, like Colette, Jean-Pierre, and Lucy have won, but also we talk to the young generation.
Yeah.
And try to empower them.
That's really good. So I love this movie so much. I'm going to end with something just general, and we're gonna just talk about movies for a second here because we love movies so much. Before I do that though, is there anything else that you want people, other than to watch this, that you want people to know about this project?
I don't know. I think you really covered sort of the big points. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel good with what we talked about.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. I hope you feel good. We're gonna have just a little tiny fun thing at the end here. But before that, I would be remiss if I did not mention, I think my co-host would be really upset with me, is that we did a few months ago, every so often we do directors spotlights and pick a director. And we did one on Alice Guy Blaché because no one ever talks about her. So I couldn't talk to another Alice and not talk about Alice Guy Blaché. So I just want to mention that if you are not aware of Alice Guy Blaché, look her up. If you are, she's
I think we will.
Wonderful, wonderful. One of the first directors in the history of cinema. She was a woman and she was French. So beautiful, right?
Yes,
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so now it doesn't have to be documentary, certainly can be, but what, for each of you, we'll start with Elise. What movie is just always something that you can go back to and impacts you? It could be something that just gives you joy or makes you laugh or breaks your heart. Some movie that just has always been the best thing for you.
Oh.
I know. I told you I was going to quiz you at the end here.
Okay. I want to speak. there's many movies that give me joy. And particularly now during the pandemic, every movie where you see people partying together or having a dinner together, exchanging, talking about cinema together, like what we love in France. So all this. But if you ask me what movie inspired me all through my life, and still now I think about it, I would say it's a very old animated movie called Les Maîtres du Temps, Masters of Time, by René Laloux, and I think it's 1982, okay, to be checked, but it's 1980 something, I think in 92. The drawings are by Mobius, a French drawer, sketcher, very good. And it's a film that where you play, the directors, I mean the writers, they play with time, and they also play with emotions, because there are some little creatures that are telepath, that can read, smell actually what's going on in the head of people, the heads of the people around them. And this, for me, it's an amazing film because it talks about cinema. You see, I mean, I believe it's the first movie that I went and watched in a theater. It was with my father, and I mean, it's really something that was that is close to my heart. So, Les Maîtres du Temps, Master of Time, Masters of Time, by René Laloux and Mobius.
See, that's what I love. We love to discover movies that we may not have encountered before. And how about you, sir? Anthony, what do you got? You had time to think, so.
well, when you said, when you asked, I had it in my head. It's a film that, like, you know, if it's on, I'll like kind of just sit and watch, and I'll just, no matter, you know, what point's on, but yes. And it actually kind of connects to this story, but for a personal reason. In 1993, I was in Germany. I was living in Leipzig at the time, and I was teaching English to adults. It was basically all adults. They were all older than I was, and I wanted to go to the movies with them, so we can just use it as a discussion point. And we went and saw Schindler's List.
Oh,
and yeah. I was just like, let's go see Schindler's List. You know
what I mean? Oh boy.
With these.
It's an adventure, right?
Yeah. And I hadn't seen it yet. I knew, I mean, it sort of was about, but still it's just like, hey, let's go and we can. So these were all older Germans. And we went and saw it, and it was dubbed in German. And it was just sort of just like, it kind of like, I don't know, in some ways, like it felt like it just reached out and like really grabbed everybody.
Right.
And we had the most amazing discussions about it in like sort of the days afterwards. And it really, so it came at a point in my life when I was there, and I was just sort of really taken by that, by the story. And I kind of felt like I was able to live out, you know, some of the aftermath of that and talking with people. It made me go to Poland. I went to Auschwitz because of that film, and I traveled there by myself, like in February of '94. And I think probably has a lot to do with my interest in this time period. So right. That's what I would say. I think that's what.
I remember I watched that, but I was kind of a weird kid, and I would watch all these different things. And I remember sitting down and watching Showa, you know, all the way through. So yeah. And so, boy, that's something too. Yeah. I tell that to people, and they're like, "You actually watched Showa all the way through?" It's like, yeah, I watched it all the way through.
It's hard to find now, you know. Unless you're gonna like, I can't remember. I think like Sundance Channel or something is streaming it. Or someone has it. But,
I wonder I don't know if Criterion has it. They might have it. I know that it was on TV when I watched it, and it was like PBS, if I remember correctly. And I think that was today's a VHS, and I just, you know, recorded the whole thing. So, well, thank you both so much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hope you win. There are strong
you.
competition. I have watched them all. There is some really strong competition there, but I hope you win. Question. So with all the pandemic and stuff, do you get invited to the actual, you know, Oscars?
Yeah.
Do you get to go?
Yeah, but it's really stripped down. Like there's nothing. They're not doing anything except for the ceremony. You know, so there's none of the, like, you know, the parties or the whole week of events that usually happens. There's nothing going on.
Does Colette get to go? Does she want to go?
Not possible.
Not yet.
Okay, like
no.
we wish. I mean, in another time, like with the pandemic, it's not possible. It's too dangerous for her anyway. Like
Yeah.
you see, it's
Yeah.
it's complex to travel in the current time. It's we fight against. We are in a time where we all fight against this pandemic.
We sure do.
But I will say, Bruce, April 25th, the night of the Oscars, it's also her birthday.
Oh, oh no.
She,
Oh.
you know, she was born. It's interesting. She was born 22 days before the very first Academy Award ceremony.
Oh my gosh. Well, wait. She has to win. I mean, come on. Have we told
Her
the
birthday.
Academy? The Academy needs to be told this, and you just have to do it. Sorry. I'm sorry. This just has to be the
Let's
case.
spread the word.
Yeah. So you know, she'll be celebrating a birthday that day. You
Yeah.
know, and she'll be watching from home. We wish she could come, but
Well, we'll be celebrating it too, right? We'll raise a glass
yeah.
of something.
Right.
All right. Well,
Well,
thank you
Bruce.
both. Thank you so much. Oh, last thing.
Yeah.
I'll let you go. What else is on the horizon? What are you guys working on?
You know, you should ask when this is over. I
Okay.
feel like this is what we're working on.
I'm looking at my timer. I have 3 minutes and 51
yeah.
seconds. I'm going to use it to the max now. It's like,
Yeah, so I'm currently you know, working on a something for Disney Plus actually tied to their 100th year. I can't really fully say yet in 2023. But that's all I can say right now.
okay.
And I'm working,
Elise?
I'm
Yes.
working for the BBC on a big documentary for the BBC on the impact, the trauma, and the impact of covering war
Oh,
around the life of a BBC war correspondent called Fergal Keane.
very good. All right. Well, thank
And
you
you can be
oh,
assured we're trying to figure out the next thing we'll do together.
Exactly.
We're trying to figure that out still.
well, it definitely worked. Whatever happened there. I mean, the magic was there. All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
All
If
right.
you
Thank
see
you, Bruce.
Colette or Lucy, wish them love from us. And
Thank
Will
will.
do.
have a
Yes.
wonderful rest of your day, guys.
All right. Thanks for
Thank
the
you,
call.
Bruce.
All right.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This will be the final interview from the Oscar nominated shorts, and this is in the narrative live action category. And that film is White Eye, directed by Tomer Shushan. Once again, after you finished all this, if you haven't seen the shorts, each program is available to rent, animated, documentary, and live action, or you can actually rent out the entire program for all of the Oscar-nominated shorts, which are coming out in just about a week. You can get this through ShortsTV. You can go online and search that out and find all kinds of places to get that. And we will also make sure that the links are included in the notes of this podcast. All right, everybody. We are here with our final interview from the 2021 Oscar-nominated shorts program. We've done the documentary and we've also done animation, but today we're here with live action narrative category, and we are here with Tomer Shushan, director of White Eye. Hi.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
Director and writer, correct?
That's true.
Yes. So once again, congratulations for being nominated. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very, very exciting. And yeah, I'm just super happy about it. And yeah, happy to be here.
Is this your first time being nominated?
Yeah, it's actually my first film after film school. So I don't know, it's like my first
Wow.
independent film. And it went really, really far. So it's actually first time of everything with this film.
Very exciting. That's awesome. So I'll let you know, we talked about our favorite shorts a couple weeks ago. We do a weekly podcast. We watched all the shorts, or I watched all the shorts. My partners watched most of the shorts, and we talked quite a bit about yours because we liked it quite a bit. In fact, Greg, one of my co-hosts, he was talking about, whoever sees, White Eye, they need to snap up this director because he's got a great future ahead of him. So hopefully he's right, from his mouth to their ears.
Yeah.
But I'll give people just a quick idea. We're not going to spoil it because we want people to actually go out. We want people to go out and watch this. I mean, this is about a 20 21 minutes, something like that, 22.
Yeah, 21.
But we'll give him the concept. The concept is a man finds, he believes he finds his stolen bike. And his stolen bike is locked to a post outside of a building. He calls the police, says he's found his stolen bike, and he wants to get it returned. He wants it back. And that is essentially the kickoff to a set of events that isn't predictable in the way we might think, and definitely not in the way that the main character, Omer, thinks, played by Daniel Gadd. Now, did you have any personal experience that made you come up with this? Have you ever encountered something like this, or this is straight out of your mind?
Yeah, it's based on a personal experience that happened to me about 3 years ago, when I found my stolen bicycle in the middle of the street, and I had sentimental feelings for these bikes, and when I saw it, I thought to myself, I'll do anything to get it back. And while I tried to do it to bring it back, I found in myself doing something that came out of some anger and some I couldn't control myself, and because of that I almost harmed another person, and I feel that after this story happened to me, this experience, I really wanted to, because this story actually, and since then I can tell you that I'm quite different. So I'm really happy that I had the chance to make a film about it, so other people can see it, and maybe it's going to change something in them too.
You might be interested to know I had my son watch it with me the second time, and I asked him afterwards a little bit about it and what he thought about it. And we talked about how a big part of what you're talking about is how when you face a situation like this, and the movie itself, you come in with a set of assumptions. You know, here's my bike, someone stole it, whoever has this bike now is the thief. And that's kind of the basis, right, of everything, is that assumption. Yeah. And this movie, in a sense, is kind of a description of that butterfly effect. You don't know when one thing you're doing is actually affecting so many things around you. And I think it's very profound in that way.
That's true.
But I have a question for you. So a very interesting part of this movie we haven't talked about yet is that, and I'm not sure if it is truly this, but it looks like it's truly all a single shot. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's one single shot, one take. And I did it because I felt that I wanted the audience would really connect to the main character. So I thought to myself, what happened there in real life? And I remember that I didn't have like any moment to stop and to think if my actions are good or wrong, or if what I'm doing is it can harm someone or change their life. And because of that, I did it in one shot, because I didn't want the audience will also will have the chance to stop and to think. I just want to be like one breath, one breath. Mm-hmm. And so I also didn't let the camera stop. And by that, I felt that it can connect the audience to the main character.
So that being said, how difficult was that? Did you have to rehearse quite a bit, or how did you? There's a lot of moving parts. So
yeah, I mean, we had 3 rehearsals, and we mostly worked on the rhythm of the story and the rhythm of the take, because when you do it one shot, you don't have any chance to edit it after. So we just needed to edit it in our minds before. And I felt that it's going to be very, very challenging and hard, and it was. I mean, until we still rehearsed on the shooting day. We had only one day to shoot it, and we still rehearsed on half of the shooting day. Oh, no. And then we went to shoot it. we had like few hours left, and it was super scary. But I couldn't think about something else. I just saw it happening, and we all made a great job. I mean, it's all about the team you're working with. Films, it's all about the people you collect with you to create a story, and everyone gives something from their own, you know. And if you all believe in the same message, if you all believe in the same, you know, purpose of making this story, so great things happen.
Well, and you had to be a team to make that occur, because everyone had to perform their parts at the right time, in the right place, when the camera's facing them. I would point a couple of things. I would say, talking about how you're with him and you don't have a time to breathe and all those kind of things by having it the single shot. Another thing that caught me, and we talked about this on the show a little bit, a couple things. One is it really creates a very strong sense of your place, because you essentially have this building and the streets a little bit around this building, but you get to feel like you know where you're at, and the geography that you're living in there is very clear by the end of it. And to some degree, it has a little bit of effect to me like Rear Window, where you're looking across the apartment complex and you see all of the different lives all happening at once, because you have some lives and some events happening in the background of this movie that are just there to be seen. And you can see it if you want to see it, but it's not necessarily part of the quote story.
That's true.
But one other thing I wanted to point out, it is part of that world, right? And it's telling you things about that world. One thing I wanted to point out too, and I thought was really, really amazing as far as the storytelling from you, and I know it's intentional, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. There's two journeys through the building. And in the first journey through the building, once again, I'm going to stay vague. Our main character, Omer, is looking for somebody, and he's looking into rooms, and we're seeing him look into rooms. And the second time through the building, we look into a room again with a totally different context. What was your thoughts around doing that? I know I'm keeping it kind of vague, but I really loved that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you something. This whole film started, I mean, the shooting plan, and the first time that I changed the script, because the script, the first version was about a restaurant, not about a meat factory or like a butcher factory. Yeah. So I came to visit my friend. He have this factory. He owned this factory, and I came just to visit him while I was looking for locations. And then I saw this fridge, and I thought to myself, at the same moment that I saw the fridge, he just showed me his place, and I just looked at the fridge, and I thought to myself, what? I just told him to get in, to be inside, and I called his workers, and I put them all inside, and I took a picture, and this image was like stabbing me, you know, and that's what I tried to do. I changed all the script because I felt that it's supposed to be all about this image that change person from one view, from one thing that he see. And I felt that it's going to be great for the film. So I just built all this one shot, all this story around this image. I just thought what's going to be before and what's going to be after. And I didn't expose it on the first time that he come inside. I wanted to be after. And it's about the circle, you know, this film is about circling. I mean, it's circle of life in some way. And as you said, like the character of the prostitutes, she's there all the time,
right?
And cars coming and pick her, and she just like keep coming back and doing circles, and no one cares about her. And this guy, that he complete his full circle, he understand. He become a better person, not a better person, but he changed as a person, as a human being, because of this. So that was the thought behind this whole idea.
That idea of from your narrow kind of experience of your understanding of the world to understanding like, oh, wow, there's a revealing of so many interlocking lives. And that's obviously what he's encountering. Now, my co-host wanted me to ask you a question. I'll probably ask it. I'll actually read it to you so I don't butcher his words, but it's about the police, because the police are a huge part of this, a huge part of how this all goes down in this. So he said the cops weren't interested in helping this guy get his bike until there was an opportunity to make someone else's life more difficult than it already was. And even then, they couldn't really be bothered with helping him get his bike. And his main question was like, why do you suppose it was that the cops have more trouble protecting than they do, causing
Helping.
someone to get arrested?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this. I think I remember that in real life, I felt that the cops came 2 times, okay? And every time that they came, they just made the situation worse, And I could think about it after. I realized after that every time that they came, they just made more mess.
Yes.
And that's not like, it's the opposite of what they should do. And I feel that now I'm taking it to the refugee point of view, because when I met few refugees for casting this film, and I remember that one of them told me, no one knows how it is to wake up in the morning and to be illegal, and they're like still didn't do anything wrong, but they're just illegal. So I feel that these people are see-through, no one cares about them in the society, no one look at them, no one talk to them, and they are just there and they feel it. And the only people that can see them, it's the authorities, it's the police, it's the immigration police, it's the court house, it's all about that. And when a policeman see opportunity to or not opportunity, when a policeman come and you see 2 people, one of them is a refugee and one of them is more privileged, it's easy job for him. He just like blame the weak person because he don't have voice. And that's what's the story about. These people don't have voice.
Well, and you say they see them, but they see them in that most simplistic way too, right? So
yeah,
they don't see them. And that's kind of the whole point of the main character here is he's seeing more fully. He's not seeing that narrow view that is his own, based on his own personal understanding of the world, which is just this little bubble, as opposed to seeing the layers unfold. Only a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too long. I felt like, and I could be totally wrong, but I felt like there might be some Easter eggs or some interesting things going on in the walls, the graffiti, the posters, and I may have missed them. They may just be something I don't know, or they may be something that were just your own personal little touches you're putting in there. Am I wrong about that, or was there something there?
There is something there. I mean, we worked with a graffiti artist, and I wanted him to create few images that can bother people, and not even like in a straight way, like just the colors or like the characters that he painted. I just wanted to create more intense vibes, and at the end there is like a huge yellowy line that going through the main character head, and I thought that's supposed to be like his sense, his common sense, and how he becomes straight person after. So yeah, there is lots of thought behind it, and I can give lots of credit to the artist that have this idea. He heard the story. He's, I think, 16 years old, and he heard the story, and he really liked the story, and he had the chance to do it. And also lots of credits to the art director. Her name is Nitzan, and she just gave me lots of ideas and show me lots of colors and things that we might use, or artists that can be that we like, lots of reference from different artists, and together we all just create this feeling.
Oh, that was excellent. I caught that. And a lot of times that's behind them when they're doing things or they're passing it, and it's kind of seems to kind of mirror the the tension of that scene going on. So I thought that was really interesting. A couple of fun questions, because we love movies in general. I'm guessing you probably enjoy movies yourself, from the kind of care and the approach you took to this. Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry. I'm diverting myself. We're not going to say what it is, but final shot, beautiful final reveal. And once again, your whole movie is showing us what's happening more than the exposition, right? And that's such a perfect, beautiful way to say what has happened to this character based on the situation he was faced with. So I don't want to say it. I don't want to ruin it. That's such a great shot. You don't need to let that. Okay,
but
now
I can tell you something about this shot, that that when I showed this to all of my, I don't know, teachers from high school, not high school, from film school, and friends from film school that like studied with me, and I mean lots of people that I really appreciate their mind before I released this film. I can tell you that 85% told me to change the ending, like to cut the film when he just I don't want to ruin it, but like maybe one minute
I want to ask you
1 minute before, everyone told me to do it, everyone, and I can tell you something that I learned a lot of being a filmmaker, that when you do things you can hear others' ideas, but don't let anyone change what you feel inside of your heart. And I was very honest to myself and to my art, and I feel that that's what made this film authentic and organic, because it's at the end it's a creation that built in my mind and happened to me in my life. And when you listen to your inside, I mean, it can't be wrong.
Okay, last this is little fun things now, but it might tax your brain, because I do this to people. They're always like, what? I could talk about my own film, and now you ask me this. I always like to end with two questions. One is, what is a movie? Any sort of movie. It could be, fun, comedy, romance, drama, sci-fi, whatever. What is a movie that always, to you can always go back to, and it's always had an impact or always meant a lot to you in your life?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my internet connection.
It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, no problem. I can say it again if you didn't hear me.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
Every time I ask this, people like get thrown back.
I have few. It's have to be something that I watched before I became a filmmaker, or like something that during the years.
Could be something from when you were 5, if you want it to be.
Okay, so it can I give you few?
Sure. There's no rules.
Okay, so Winter Sleep. It's a Turkish film, and Workmeister Harmonies by Bellatar, and also his film The Turin Horse, and American films. I can say that my favorites are Ghost Dog of Jarmusch.
Yes, Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog is one of my favorite films, and The Shawshank Redemption, of course, one of my favorites, and what else? There is this film that named Stalker. It's Tarkovsky film.
Yes, Tarkovsky. Or yes, Stalker.
Yeah, Stalker. And let me think about one more that I really like. I'll go with No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
Like,
now, I guarantee.
I gave you genres, but yeah. Yes.
I guarantee. I was going to say, I guarantee that the Coen brothers, when they made that, someone probably told them to end that movie differently. So,
yeah.
I was going to say, right in front of me, you can't see it. It's on this wall. I have a Dead Man Jarmusch poster. Some of Jarmusch's stuff is amazing. So interesting. One thing I like to do is I like to, I have all people that listen to our show, I have them all add movies, and I put it in a box, and every movie I pick one movie out of the box just randomly to watch and review for the next show, so that I'm always forcing myself to watch movies that I may never have heard of. Now, you mentioned a couple Turkish films. Now,
Winter Sleep, it's a Turkish film, but Bellatar the director of the Turin Horse and Workmeister Harmonies. He's Hungarian.
So of those, which do you think I should see most?
Winter Sleep.
Winter Sleep. Winter Sleep.
No doubt. Because it's also very
Box.
cinematic. Yeah, also very cinematic and artistic and well directed, but also amazing story and yeah, I don't know, very important. I think that I like it because I like to deal with topics that confront people from different sides of the society.
Excellent.
And
Who's the director of Winter Sleep? Do you know?
yeah, his name is Nuri Nuri Bila. And I don't remember how to spell it.
I will look that up. I will look for that movie for sure. That sounds very interesting. I was also going to say, if you've never looked up the history of the making of Stalker, I don't know how familiar you are with that.
Yeah, of course.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Mind-blowing.
You think your film was hard to make? Oh my gosh. that movie was insane.
No, I can't compete with Tarkovsky. Like it. I also read his book from time to time. I think back to his book and talk about a lot how he make his films and how to make them. I don't know. For me, like one of the greatest.
Oh yes, the way, I mean, it's every shot is a painting. You know, it's just insane. The settings and just the compositions he uses are just ridiculous, unfathomable. Tomer, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you want people to know, like as far as this movie or future projects you have going on? I lost you a little bit, that last little bit. I'm gonna let you try it one more time because I cut that last answer cut out a little bit, and then we'll let you go since we're starting to cut out a little bit. So we lost Tomer at the very end there. I'm sorry, guys, that we didn't get his final answer there, but it was a lot of fun talking with Tomer. I hope the best for him on the upcoming Oscars. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out Wide Eye. It is super cool, and as you can hear, he's got a great creative eye and really interesting ideas to put out there, and I would expect great things from Tomer here in the future.